Hey everyone, I'm Og, and in this video we're going to take a look to see if you should play Palworld. So what's Palworld about? Now, one of the most common things people say about Palworld is that it's Pokemon with guns. But what Palworld is actually more like is Ark Survival Evolved and Conan Exiles. While a lot of the creatures are cute and cuddly, Palworld does not spare anyone from slavery or being chopped up by a meat cleaver. See this bubbly adorable chicken? That's going to be my lunch later. See this majestic queen bee? That's going to be a sweatshop worker. See this tiny pal with good stats? I'm going to breed my dragon with her. Point is, Palworld can be quite hardcore and ruthless depending on how you look at it. Not only is the game gigantic, filled with plenty of content, it is like Pokemon for adults. You get to enslave not only pals but humans too. Use guns, explosives, harvest organs, pixelated censorship, drugs, and even content. When it comes to content in Palworld has a lot of similarities with other games. You got the roll ability to dodge stuff like Elden Ring, the climbing system like Conan Exiles, and the stats and mechanic like Ark Survival Evolved. But what makes the content really unique is the creativity. From shooting a live penguin out of a rocket launcher to arming a monkey with a machine gun, there's a lot of fun features to keep you entertained. You can build a base and then multiple bases to start your own sweatshop and factories, defend those factories against various kinds of raiders, force your pals to work until they're mentally broken and then feed them to your other pals, rescue a caged pal from raiders camp just so you can enslave them yourself, boss dungeons and loot where you can earn things to power up your team, illegal and legal human pal trafficking from merchants, crafting and resource collecting. There's a lot of activities. Gameplay. The gameplay in Palworld is usually quite smooth overall. However, there are some minor inconveniences. If you put a workstation too close to a certain structure, there's a chance that your pals can get stuck, which pretty much leads them to starvation and eventually killing themselves. If you log off of certain areas, the game will sometimes put you in an impossible place to get out of, like clipping into terrain. If you hit someone too hard, there's also a chance that you might knock them into terrain. So how do we know if the gameplay is for you? Well, to describe the gameplay, the controls are very smooth and responsive. If you enjoy shooter, action combat, adventure, and exploration, sandbox survival, Palworld has a really great mixture of all of them. While Palworld can be repetitive and grindy on default settings, players can easily adjust the server settings to fit their own preference. As for me, putting EXP on 10 times and taming on max is the best way to go, as pals can be extremely difficult to catch. You got this, just one more hit and you... Okay, yeah, we should have killed him. This is stupid. I don't know why we try to catch this. Progression. So, can Palworld keep you entertained all throughout as you play? Let's start with the early game. Starting off in Palworld and learning the game is quite easy. When you first spawn in, you create your character and choose if you want to follow the tutorial or not. While following the tutorial is highly recommended, players can have the freedom to do whatever they like. Whether you choose to build a base, punch a chicken in the face, force a human to be your slave, shoot a pal inside a cave, there's not really a restriction other than level difficulty, meaning you can actually make it as challenging or as easy as you like. Mid-game. By the time you hit mid-game in Palworld can have a lot of different playstyles. From exploration survival to gotta catch them all, Palworld mainly gives players the option to play the game as somewhat of a factory management simulator. Not only is this optional, it's also very essential, as players can greatly benefit from this. If you don't want to spend time crafting, cooking, or farming and do more of the fun stuff like boss hunting, exploring, and looting, you can assign your pals to do them for you. But just like in real life, workers do get stressed if they break their backs working all day. So just like a good boss you are, rather than making their conditions better or maybe increase their pay, simply buy them a pizza lunch. Late game. Late game in Palworld can be very grindy and actually a bit hectic if you don't have the right factory set up. Not only will the equipment you use cost a lot to repair, the pals you use will also feel like running a daycare. Here's my giant red dragon with level 4 fire skill. He worked for about 2 minutes and then got in depression. Here's my pal that powers my toaster. She decided to jump in a bathtub. That's electrocution. But for real though, late game in Palworld can be very management demanding. What makes this game worth it is the vast amount of content. From boss towers to dungeons, new discoveries, high tier recipes, rare finds, and breeding the perfect pal, Palworld gives you loads of activity to pick from while your pals at base grinds for you. Creativity and improvements. While Palworld has a lot of copied elements from other games, Palworld actually took some of these elements and made it better. In Conan Exiles, the throws you capture are mainly used for crafting and combat, which kinda sucks because players will have to go out and farm everything if they need resources. However, in Palworld, every pal has their own work abilities. If you build your base next to the place with the desired resources, your pals will automatically collect resources for you over time, saving you the trouble so you can go out and do more of the fun stuff. In Pokemon, the only kind of abuse you can apply to the world is animal abuse, but in Palworld it's all fair game. See this merchant with useful items? Want your very own human trafficker? So, should you play Palworld? Yes, it's super fun, very addictive, co-op friendly, and gives players plenty of freedom to pick the level of difficulty they want to play at.